But I want to take just a deeper dive with this hire and Donte Jackson being named the new head coach at Alabama A&M, because apparently I didn't have time to get the video. But there's been an awful lot of speculation. And if for whatever reason, I guess it's just inherent. I guess it's just within our DNA for people to just automatically assume that there's got to be some sort of a damn scandal. And it really speaks. And I don't care who's offended by this, but I think to a certain degree, it kind of speaks to the intellect of some of you. Some of you are so damn simple-minded, it's ridiculous. Some of you are simple-minded. And when you put in the common sense in all of this, some of you are just stuck on trying to make this some sort of a damn controversy or a scandal. When you have no proof to indicate that it is. So let's kind of look at Coach Jackson's resume, because I'm here to tell you now, Fred Hobdy, who is, a Grambling legend, the greatest coach in the history of Grambling basketball, in 8 years. Listen to me here. In the 8 years that Coach Jackson was at Grambling, he is the second winningest coach in Grambling's history in 8 years. So for Grambling being the football institution that it's known for, historically speaking, that just goes to show just how impactful Donte Jackson's time at Grambling was. So I'm putting this here for a reason, because I'm going somewhere. 263 and 185 in 15 seasons as a head coach. Named SWAC Coach of the Year 3 times. Won 3 SWAC regular season championships in the time that he was there. Named Ben Jobe Award winner 2 times. Not to mention that he was named HBCU Sports' men's basketball coach of the year last year. Probably the more prominent of all of these damn accomplishments. And then, of course, they won the SWAC tournament last year. And in addition to that, went to the tournament and won an NCAA basketball tournament, the first ever. And yet there are some simple-minded ass people on these interwebs, in the internet, in this space, who are so, I'm not going to say that because I know Miss Kathy is watching.
Let's be politically correct.
That's right. But there are some people here who are just insistent on making this something that it really isn't. So you see the man's body of work, but because during the, and I should have, like I said, didn't have time to pull up the other, but Coach Jackson doing the press conference yesterday said, something along the lines, that the administration matters. And for whatever reason, after 8 years at Grambling, some people automatically took that as a shot at Grambling's administration or the AD or whatever the case may be. And I mean, come on, man. So let's kind of look at this, right? Because you've got a person who is going, Donte Jackson is now the coach at Alabama A&M. You guys know who is the athletic director right now at Alabama A&M?
Paul Bryant.
Paul Bryant. When Coach Jackson was named the head coach at Grambling, who was the athletic director? Anyone know? Anyone?
I think his name is Paul Bryant.
Right. Before Donte Jackson was named the head coach at Grambling, he was at Stillman. Does anyone know who hired Donte Jackson at Stillman? Anyone?
It's going to be a shot in the dark.
Anyone?
I'm totally guessing right here.
Anyone?
But would it be Paul Bryant?
No shit.
Clutching my pearls.
You mean to tell me Paul Bryant hired Donte Jackson at Stillman and then at Grambling and now to Alabama A&M, And because the man makes the comment that this is all about the administration, when in fact Paul Bryant was the athletic director and administrator at all of the institutions that we just mentioned. Some way, somehow, some of you simple-minded ass people want to try to make this to be something more than it isn't. Exactly right, Stephen. Relationships matter. And it's simple, and I'm gonna just put it like this: there are some simple-minded folks here, in the space, but I'm primarily, it's just so because you guys always get. I'm talking about my folks at Grambling. I'm talking about the simple-minded folks at Grambling who are trying to make this to be more than what it is. Okay, simple-minded asses, ignorant. I don't care who. I don't care if you're offended by it. Chances are it's you. Okay, so. So here's the thing. So when he wins the SWAC championship last year, he gets the tournament. Travion Scott gives this man a contract extension. All right, got a contract extension, making more money, deservedly so. I think it was President Wims who indicated that last year the man was offered a job at Detroit Mercy. Did I get that right, Chris Stevens?
Yes.
Detroit Mercy, which, no football program, but I think it's safe to say is, they do basketball up there in that conference. Is that the Horizon? I don't know what conference is in, but it's a basketball conference.
Yeah, it is the Horizon League.
Right. Now, I want you guys to put some things in together because I don't think a lot of people understand this. Guess who is the athletic director at Detroit Mercy? Anyone know?
Rick Mahorn? No, I'm playing.
No, it's not Rick Mahorn. The athletic director at Detroit Mercy is Robert Viles. And for those of you who are not aware, Robert Viles is the former commissioner of the SIAC and is the former commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And he is currently the athletic director right now, Detroit Mercy. It is not. All you got to do is just connect the dots. Robert Viles knew who this man was, and they extended him an offer. But yet, he said, nah, which, by the way, Donte Jackson is a Midwestern guy. So, I mean, and you look at who he goes and he recruits. He's got a lot of cats, man, that you look at his roster. He recruits the Midwest. Everything doesn't have to be a scandal. A lot of this is just, it's relationships, man. And instead of just taking the time to congratulate this man for what he has done for the time at Grambling, because you guys ain't never heard me say Grambling being a basketball school until this man got here. There was never a reason to say that Grambling was a basketball school. The man deserved an opportunity. He turned heads. And Detroit Mercy, by the way, I know for a fact, wasn't the only school that reached out or expressed an interest in him coming to the man earned the opportunity to look at these offers. And is it really out of the ordinary when you look at the tea leaves? Okay, Bryant just got there. Hughley was already the coach. That wasn't his hire, but given how things were going, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna just wait and see and look around. And I'm pretty certain, Donte and Paul Bryant probably had some conversations, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Look, let's see how this year goes, and depending on how things go, let's talk later and see how this all works out. Hughley puts in his resignation. There's a coaching availability open. Put in consideration what Jackson did again this year. It is not out of the ordinary for him to say, look, man, I want you to come here and let's get together again. And then I think there's a video out there where both of them saying, we're back. So this is not some sort of a controversy, as some of you simple-minded ass folks are trying to make it to be. This wasn't him making a shot at Grambling. It wasn't him making a shot at the athletic director. It was just simply him saying the administration matters, probably due in large part to the relationship that he has with Paul Bryant, which goes back many years. Plain and simple.
That's really it. And to me,
I mean that's it. So I guess I say all that to say, man, because again, I know everything has to be a rumor, everything has to be a scandal. And while there may very well be something to that, I'm just here to tell you this isn't it. This man put in the work. This man has receipts to show just how effective of a coach he is. He made the most of the opportunity. He's received a new opportunity. Donte Jackson, thank you for your time at Grambling, man. God bless you. I wish you nothing but the best until you play us. Okay? Plain and simple. All right? All right. So
here's my thing. I'm gonna date myself here, and Jared, this is probably gonna be before your time. So just ask Miss Kathy if you need to know. But the legendary Oswald Bates used to say many years ago, it's a conspiracy. There is no conspiracy
right.
when it comes to this. When you work as long as you do in certain spaces and you have a good relationship with people, yeah, y'all are going to look out for each other. It feels like Donte Jackson and Paul Bryant, they're not, athletic director and coach. They feel more like brothers, to be honest. So if my brother says, all right, I see what you're doing at where we used to work. It's cool that you're doing that there. But this dude I got here ain't cutting it, and he ain't my choice. So if he's out, I'm going to give you a call. And if it's something that I like, I'm going to listen. So it's really that simple. So it's not like, I'm not going to go as far as Ken is calling people simple-minded asses. Because I don't know these folks. But
yeah, right. But like I said, I'm talking primarily to my folks. Okay.
Yeah.
So people say you don't ever talk about your school. The hell I don't. Yeah, I do. But I'm just saying. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I just think it's the fact that an athletic director and a coach have this phenomenal working relationship, and that it breeds success whenever they get together. It's kind of like a producer and a rapper. It's like when Jay-Z used to get with Timbaland, or when Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis used to work with Janet Jackson, or when Babyface used to work with Johnny Gill. I mean, producer artist relationships work like that all the time. You get in the studio with somebody who you think is going to give you the best hit. And Paul Bryant and Donte Jackson are about to put out another banger at Alabama A&M. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And the only thing I add is, well, first of all, your reference got a healthy chuckle from Miss Kathy. So your joke hit. And second of all, look, there's not much else I can add, but all I will say is that we gotta understand that at HBCUs, I know that when we compete against each other, that's when we're at odds. But when it's about the success of our individual HBCUs, we got to root for each other, because nobody outside of us is going to root for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and there's an opportunity that Donte Jackson could potentially move up like Larry Vickers, and that's a win for us. Everything that happens with our coaches, our institutions, our administrators, it's a win for all of us. Like having guys at NFL coaching staffs, like having guys on NBA G League, NBA coaching staffs, that's a win for us. And we have to understand that every move that we make is a potential stepping stone for things like that. So we have to understand that while it may hurt that Donte Jackson is not at Grambling anymore, but there's a potential that he could continue to rise, and he can build up the profile of HBCUs and create more opportunities for coaches that come after him. So I hope that people stop thinking that every time a coach leaves you, it's a slight at your HBCU, because it's not. It's really not. Because think about a guy like, it was a good example of this. Think about a woman like Tamika Reed. Like, she's at UNT Charlotte now. She could have easily been at any Power 4 institution. I'm pretty sure she got calls to be an assistant, which is very disrespectful that she's only getting
right. It's beneath her.
Being an assistant. But like what she's doing at UNC Charlotte, the fact that she led them to a tournament win when they were a 12 seed, schools are looking at that. And they're saying, or she was at Jackson State and she won as much as she did. And despite that they underachieved in the regular season, she still had the coaching acumen to lead them to a win in the tournament. So now they're looking at coaches in the SWAC and they're saying like, well, if she was able to do that, and I can only imagine what she's going to do next year with that team, with that momentum that they got from the tournament win. Let me look at some more HBCU coaches, or let me bend her ear to see who she thinks at the SWAC level could potentially. That's why relationships matter. Just like Paul Bryan and Donte Jackson have their relationship, coaches in the SWAC could look at their competitors that they competed against in the SWAC when they move up and say, you need to look at this person. And you might want to give them an opportunity. You might want to give them an interview. You may not like them at the end of the day, but it's worth the shot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not a slight at our HBCUs. Everything that happens for us is building us up. And that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah. Yeah, couple of comments I want to put. Stephen Kimball, this happens in the SEC all the time, and nobody makes a big deal. This is a lot to do with nothing. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Edwin Moore said that coaches are hired and then they leave or they are fired. It is the life of coaches, both head coaches and assistants. Absolutely correct. You are hired to when you are hired to be fired, or you are hired with the opportunity to find employment elsewhere, depending on how well you do. You know,
True.
I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as loyalty when a contract is involved. Because if a coach is hired and you have certain level of expectations from him and he doesn't necessarily perform, them same simple-minded ass folks, it'd be like, fire his ass. Fire his ass. But if he does well, and he's got all this attention from other schools, and he decides he wants to leave, them same simple-minded folks, what are we doing? How come y'all didn't match that offer? How come y'all ain't match that offer? When it's just business. Sometimes it has that. I'm not saying that the things don't happen. When you're dealing with people on the individual level, I'm sure that there may be friction, but sometimes, man, you just got to kind of look at the bigger picture. And last point before we go on to the next thing about Coach Jackson, I think there's something to be said that this man, as an HBCU graduate, who has pretty much coached his entire career at an HBCU, who has obviously been given offers to coach at PWIs, I think there's something to be said for the fact that this man is committed to HBCU basketball, and it is shown through his actions by leaving Grambling to go coach at another HBCU when he had an opportunity to probably make a hell of a lot more money playing or coaching at a PWI, which in and of itself is not a problem. I'm just saying, because it's actually something that we embrace, because we all know, regardless of the sport, whether it be football, basketball, even baseball, that there are a number of more than competent HBCU coaches who don't get the opportunity to coach at those higher levels, which I'm sure some of them probably aspire to do. But I just think that there's something to be said for Coach. I'm not saying that he's against it, but I just think that there's something to be said that this man has been able to establish himself as a more than competent coach, being able to do it consistently at the HBCU level.